Maya stood in her small room, looking at her study notes one last time. She was a hardworking black student who always tried her best, even when life felt difficult. Today was one of the most important days of her life. She had an exam that could decide her future. If she scored well, she would keep her scholarship. If she failed, she might lose her chance to continue in college. She checked the clock again. Just 1 hour left before the exam started. She took a deep breath, picked up her backpack, and whispered to herself, "I can do this." For weeks, she had studied day and night. Her eyes burned from the lack of sleep, but her heart stayed strong. She wanted to make her family proud. She wanted to build a better future for herself. As she walked toward the door, she picked up a small lucky charm her mom had given her years ago. It always made her feel calm. She placed it in her pocket and smiled. Everything was ready. She was ready. Just as she reached for the doorknob, her phone rang. The sound was sharp and sudden. Maya frowned. No one usually called her this early in the morning. She glanced at the screen and saw a number she did not recognize. A part of her wanted to ignore it. She was already nervous, and she did not want anything to distract her. But something inside her told her to answer. "Hello," she said softly. A weak voice came through the speaker. "Is this Maya?" "Yes. Who is this?" "Maya, this is your neighbor from 2 houses down." "I need help," the voice whispered. Maya froze. The neighbor was a woman who had moved into the street only 2 weeks earlier. Maya had seen her once or twice, but had never talked to her. The woman's voice now sounded tired, shaky, almost scared. "What happened?" Maya asked, her heart beating faster. "I woke up, feeling dizzy. My vision is blurry. I can't stand up properly," the woman said softly. "I'm alone, please. Can you come?" Maya closed her eyes for a moment. This was the worst timing. She looked at the clock again. If she went to help, she might not reach the exam in time. But if she did not go, the woman could be in danger. She felt a heavy weight on her chest. Her mind raced with thoughts. She had worked so hard. She needed this exam. She needed the scholarship. But she also knew something else. Her parents had raised her to help people when they needed it. She could not ignore someone who was calling for help. "Okay," Maya finally said, trying to stay calm. "I'm coming right now." She grabbed her keys and ran outside. The morning air was cool and quiet. Birds were singing, but Maya's heart felt loud in her chest. She rushed down the street and reached the neighbor's house. The door was partly open. "Hello, it's Maya," she called gently. "Coo." "In here," the weak voice replied. Maya stepped inside and found the woman sitting on the floor, leaning against the wall. Her face was pale, and her hands were trembling slightly. "Oh no," Maya whispered as she knelt beside her. "Are you okay?" "I just feel very weak," the woman said. "Thank you for coming." Maya helped her sit up properly. She brought her water, helped her breathe slowly, and stayed beside her until her hands stopped shaking. She thought about calling an ambulance, but the woman said she just needed a little time and someone nearby. Maya watched her closely, refusing to leave until she was safe. Minutes passed, then more minutes. Maya checked the time on her phone. Her heart dropped. The exam would start in 10 minutes. There was no way she could get there in time now. But she stayed. She stayed because the woman was alone. She stayed because she knew she was needed. She stayed because doing the right thing mattered more than anything else. Finally, the woman's breathing became steady. The color came back to her cheeks. She gave Maya a grateful smile. "You saved me," she whispered. Maya shook her head. "I just helped." Anyone would have done the same, but deep inside, she knew that was not always true. Not everyone would leave an important exam for a stranger, yet Maya had done it without thinking twice. When the woman seemed stable enough to rest, Maya quietly stood up. "Ah, I have to go now. "Are you sure you will be okay?" she asked. "Yes." "Thank you, dear. You were very kind," the woman said. Maya slipped out of the house and walked slowly back home. The street felt quiet again, but her mind was loud. She knew she had missed the exam. She knew the consequences would be serious. Her steps felt heavy, as if every dream she held was slipping away. But even with all that fear, there was a calm voice inside her heart saying she did the right thing. She did not know it yet, but that one choice, helping a stranger, was about to change her entire future in a way she could never imagine. The next morning, Maya woke up with a strange feeling in her chest. It was not fear, and it was not peace. It was something in between. She knew she had done the right thing yesterday, but she also knew the consequences were now waiting for her. Her college exam was over. She had missed it completely. No matter how much she wanted to change it, she could not. Time does not go backward. She sat on her bed quietly, her hands folded in her lap. Sunlight entered her small room through the window. But instead of feeling warm, it made her feel more aware of the new day she had to face. She wished she could hide under her blanket and not think about anything. But life does not stop. She had to get up, she had to move, she had to face whatever was coming. She slowly stood, got dressed, and packed her bag. She looked at her books for a moment, remembering how many hours she had spent reading them. How many nights she had stayed awake trying to learn every chapter. She had done everything right. Everything except one thing: missing the exam. But she told herself again, "I helped someone. That matters too." Even though she believed it, the heaviness did not leave her heart. She walked out of her house and started heading toward the college. The streets were busy with morning energy children running for school. Buses honking, shopkeepers opening their doors. Everything looked normal to everyone else. Only she felt different. It was like the whole world was moving forward and she was stuck, unable to keep up. As she walked, she kept thinking about yesterday. The woman's weak voice. The half-open door. The trembling hands. Maya knew she could never leave someone alone in that situation, even if it meant losing something important. Her parents had raised her to value kindness. They had taught her that a good heart could open doors she never expected. She just hoped that they were right. When she reached the college gates, she took a deep breath. Students were talking, laughing, and holding their exam papers. Some looked tired, some looked excited, and some looked stressed. All of them had taken the exam except her. Maya walked quietly to her professor's office. Each step felt heavy, like she was carrying a bag full of stones. When she reached the door, she knocked softly. "Come in," the professor said. Maya stepped inside. Her professor, a middle-aged man with glasses, looked up from his desk. "Maya, why were you absent yesterday?" he asked calmly. Maya swallowed hard. Her throat felt tight, but she forced herself to speak. "Sir, I'm sorry. I helped my neighbor. She was feeling unwell and had no one else. I stayed to help her until she felt better." The professor listened carefully, his expression serious but not unkind. "So you missed the exam because of an emergency?" he asked. "Yes, sir," she said. "I did not want to miss it, but I could not leave her alone." He sighed quietly and leaned back in his chair. "Maya, I understand your situation, and your kindness is something rare," he began. "But college rules are college rules. Exams cannot be retaken unless approved in advance or unless it is a medical emergency for you." Maya's heart sank. She felt a sting behind her eyes. "Sir, I understand," she said softly, trying not to cry. "I just wanted to explain." The professor nodded gently. "I appreciate your honesty, and I'm truly sorry. You are a good student, but I can't change the rules." Maya nodded, feeling her throat tighten again. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. She turned and left the office slowly. When she reached the hallway, she stopped for a moment and leaned against the wall. She let out a long, shaky breath. She felt like everything she had worked for was slipping out of her hands. Losing this exam meant losing her scholarship. Losing the scholarship meant she might not be able to afford college anymore. Still, she wiped her eyes and told herself one thing. I did not fail because I did something wrong. I failed because I did something right. With that thought, she lifted her head and walked outside. But the weight in her heart only grew heavier as the day passed. When she reached home, she sat on the porch quietly. Her small yard was calm, the evening wind gentle. But inside her chest, a storm was brewing. Her phone buzzed with messages from classmates asking why she missed the exam. She did not reply. She felt tired from thinking, tired from worrying, tired from pretending she was fine. She watched the sun slowly dip behind the houses on her street. The light faded, and the sky turned soft shades of orange and purple. It was beautiful, but she could not enjoy it. She felt like her dreams were drifting away with the sunlight. As night arrived, she whispered to herself, maybe this is how life works. Sometimes you lose something to help someone else. She had no idea that life was preparing something completely different for her. Something she could not imagine. Something she would remember forever. Because kindness never goes unnoticed, and hers was about to come back to her in a way she never expected. The next morning, Maya woke up early, even though she had barely slept. Her mind kept replaying everything: the missed exam, the professor's words, and the heavy silence that followed. She tried to distract herself by cleaning her room, organizing her books, and checking old messages, but nothing helped. The worry stayed with her like a shadow. She stepped outside to get some fresh air. The street was quiet, with only a few people walking their dogs or bringing in morning newspapers. Maya breathed deeply, hoping the new day would bring even a little peace. But something unexpected caught her eye. Parked right in front of her neighbor's house was a black luxury car. It was big, shiny, and nothing like the simple cars on their street. She had never seen anything like it here before. The car's windows were dark, and a tall man in a clean suit stood beside it, quietly talking on a radio device. Maya frowned. Why would a fancy car be parked outside the home of the neighbor she helped yesterday? She slowly walked closer, trying not to look too curious. As she got near the property, she saw two more people standing near the front gate, both dressed in clean black suits, looking alert as if they were guarding someone important. Maya felt confused. Was she dreaming? Why would someone need security guards in this small neighborhood? Before she could think more, the front door opened and the woman she helped yesterday stepped out. But she looked very different today. Her pale face was now glowing with color. Her weak posture had straightened. She wore a beautiful, expansive-looking coat, and she walked with confidence. Maya blinked in surprise. Was this the same woman who could barely stand yesterday? Then something even more shocking happened. One of the guards gently held the door open for her, and the other spoke into his radio softly, as if giving a signal. The woman nodded toward them calmly. Maya whispered to herself, "Who is she? Really?" The woman saw Maya standing at a distance and waved with a warm smile. Maya raised her hand awkwardly, unsure what to do. Before Maya could ask anything, the woman got into the luxury car, and it drove away smoothly, followed by another car behind it. Maya stood there for a long moment, confused and stunned. Why did the neighbor have security guards? Why did she leave with a car that looked like it belonged to a celebrity or important figure? And why did she hide such a truth? The questions gnawed at Maya's thoughts all day. Later, when she returned home, she found her mother in the kitchen watching the news on a small TV. Maya sat down beside her and tried to focus, but her mind kept wandering. "Mom," she finally said, "do you know anything about the woman living 2 houses down?" Her mother looked up, surprised. The new neighbor? No, not much. Why? Maya hesitated. "I helped her yesterday. She wasn't feeling well. But today, she left in a big luxury car." And there were guards. Her mother raised her eyebrows. Guards. Yes, real guards, Maya repeated. Her mother turned back to the TV, thinking. After a few seconds, her eyes widened. Wait, Maya, look at the screen. Maya looked at the TV. A news reporter stood in front of a large mansion, talking excitedly. Behind him was a photo of a familiar woman with soft eyes and the same face Maya had seen just yesterday. The reporter continued, and this is Lena Hart, wife of billionaire businessman Daniel Hart. The couple is known for their charity work and quiet personal life. Sources say Mrs. Hart has been visiting different towns quietly to work on new charity programs. Maya's heart dropped into her stomach. She stared at the screen, unable to blink. Lena Hart, her neighbor, was Lena Hart, the wife of a billionaire. Her mother gasped. Maya, that's her, isn't it? Maya nodded slowly. Yes, that's her. Everything suddenly made sense. The guards, the car, the quiet behavior. Lena Hart had probably moved into the small neighborhood because she wanted privacy. She did not want anyone to know who she really was. And yesterday morning, she had been alone without her staff. Maya leaned back, feeling overwhelmed. She had helped someone she believed was an ordinary neighbor. But it turned out she had helped one of the most well-known women in the country. But the truth hit her even harder. Lena Hart had left the neighborhood without saying anything about Maya's missed exam. Maya wondered if the woman even remembered what she had cost her. Maybe she had been too tired to think about it. Maybe she thought Maya was just being nice. Maya sighed and whispered to herself, she probably doesn't even know what I lost. Her mother placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Kindness always comes back, Maya. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it always finds its way. Maya gave a small, tired smile, even though she did not fully believe it. She wanted to trust her mother's words, but everything felt too heavy, too painful. Still, she held on to the memory of her choice. She had helped someone who needed her. She had done the right thing. Even if she lost something important, she knew she had acted with humanity. But what Maya did not know was that her kindness had touched the heart of someone powerful, someone who was already planning a way to repay her. A surprise was coming. A surprise bigger than anything she could imagine. The next 2 days passed slowly for Maya. Each morning she woke up hoping something would change, but nothing did. Her missed exam stayed missed. The college rules stayed the same, and her scholarship remained at risk. She tried to focus on studying for her other classes, but every time she opened her books, her mind returned to the same thought. One decision changed everything. On the third morning, she sat at her small dining table with a mug of tea. Her hands wrapped around the warm cup, but inside, she felt cold. She stared at her notes, trying to convince herself she still had control over her future. But the worry felt too heavy. She looked out the window at the street. Kids were riding bicycles. Birds hopped along the road, picking at crumbs. Life kept moving forward, even if she felt stuck. Her mother walked into the room and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You should go talk to your professor again," she said softly. "Maybe he will change his mind." Maya nodded, though she didn't feel hopeful. But she knew she had to try again. Not for herself at least, not only for herself, but for her mother, who worked long hours to support her dreams. After breakfast, Maya put on her backpack and left the house. She walked slowly toward the campus, her shoes kicking at small pebbles on the sidewalk. The sky was cloudy, and the wind carried the smell of coming rain. It fit her mood perfectly. When she reached the campus, students walked around chatting as if nothing in the world could go wrong. Maya envied them. She wished she could feel relaxed like that again. She reached her professor's office and knocked gently. "Come in," he said. "Guys." Maya stepped inside. The professor looked up and smiled kindly. "Hello, Maya. How are you?" She forced a small smile. "I'm fine, sir. I just wanted to ask again if there is any way I could take the exam." Her voice trembled slightly, but she tried to hide it. The professor's smile softened into sympathy. "Maya, I admire your dedication, but you know the rules. Without an approved medical reason, the exam cannot be repeated. I'm truly sorry." Maya felt a sting in her chest, like a silent snap of something breaking. She lowered her eyes. "I understand," she whispered. The professor sighed. "You're one of our best students. This situation is unfortunate, but sometimes life challenges us in unexpected ways. Don't lose hope." She nodded, thanking him before walking out slowly. When she reached the hallway, she stood still for a moment. Her vision blurred slightly, but she blinked the tears away before they could escape. She didn't want anyone to see her cry. Outside, she walked to her favorite bench under a large tree. She had often sat there with her books, dreaming about a bright future. Today, it felt different. The wind blew leaves across the ground, and the clouds above looked dark and heavy. She took out her notebook and stared at the blank page. Everything she had planned for her life seemed to fade in her mind. The scholarship had been her only way to afford college. Without it, she didn't know what she would do. She wrote 2 words on the page: "What now?" But even the question felt too big. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from her best friend, asking how things went. Maya didn't reply. She didn't want to talk. She didn't want pity. She just wanted a moment of peace. After sitting there for a long time, she walked home slowly. The sky opened, and soft rain began to fall. She didn't run for shelter. She just kept walking, letting the rain hide her tears. By the time she reached home, she was soaked. Her mother opened the door, worried. But Maya gently said, "I'm okay," even though she wasn't. She went straight to her room, changed into dry clothes, and sat on her bed. The quiet in the room felt louder than the rain outside. She stared at the ceiling and whispered to herself, "Maybe this is it. Maybe my dream ends here." But deep inside, a small voice still whispered back, "No, not yet." That evening, while she helped her mother in the kitchen, she tried to act normal. She chopped vegetables, stirred soup, and cleaned the counters. But her mother saw through her silence. "Maya," her mother said softly, "you have a good heart. You helped someone who needed you. That is never a mistake." Maya nodded slowly. "I know, Mom, but it still hurts." Her mother hugged her gently. Sometimes life takes something away so it can return something bigger. You just can't see it yet. Maya didn't fully understand, but the words gave her a tiny spark of hope. That night, as she lay in bed, she thought about Lena Hart again. The woman she helped. The billionaire she didn't know about. Maya wondered if Lena remembered her at all. She wondered if she even knew about the missed exam. But Maya also knew the truth. People like Lena lived in a different world. A world far away from Maya's small neighborhood and simple life. Their paths had crossed once, but that was probably the end. What Maya didn't know was that her story was far from over. In fact, the biggest moment of her life was already on its way, flying through the night sky toward her small home, ready to turn her world upside down. The next morning started quietly for Maya. Too quietly. She woke up with a heavy heart, but tried her best to move normally. She swept the small porch, watered her mother's plants, and smiled at neighbors passing by. But inside, she felt hollow. Every small task reminded her of what she had lost: the exam, the scholarship, the future she had imagined. She tried not to show her sadness. She didn't want her mother to worry more than she already did. So Maya kept busy. She washed dishes, folded clothes, and even helped her younger cousins with homework. Anything to keep her mind away from the truth. Around noon, she sat outside on the front step, letting the warm sun fall on her face. She watched the street quietly. Children played tag. A dog chased a ball. People walked home from the market carrying grocery bags. It looked like any normal day, but Maya felt different from everyone else. She felt disconnected, as if her life was paused while everyone else continued playing forward. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Just then, a soft rumbling sound echoed from far away. At first, it was so low she almost didn't notice. But it grew louder and louder and louder. Maya opened her eyes, confused. The sound wasn't like a car or a truck or anything she had heard before. It was deep, strong, and steady, almost like the sky itself was vibrating. Some children stopped playing and looked up. A man across the street put his hand over his eyebrows and stared at the horizon. Even the dogs paused, ears perked. The sound grew stronger, shaking the ground beneath Maya's feet. "What is that?" she whispered to herself. The sky above the neighborhood seemed to shift. A dark shape appeared in the distance. It wasn't a bird. It wasn't a plane. It was a large helicopter. Maya's eyes widened. She had only seen helicopters on TV or in movies, never in real life. Definitely not flying this low. And absolutely not over her quiet neighborhood. The helicopter came closer, and the wind around the houses began to stir. Dust rose from the road. Trees swayed. The children covered their ears and squealed with excitement and fear. Neighbors stepped out of their homes, shielding their eyes from the swirling dust. Is someone famous visiting? Is it a medical emergency? Who would come here in a helicopter? Everyone was talking, confused and shocked. But Maya wasn't thinking about any of that. She was simply staring, frozen, as the helicopter began to descend, directly toward her home. "No, impossible," she whispered, taking a small step backward. The helicopter hovered above her house for a moment, sending strong waves of wind across the yard. Leaves flew everywhere. The neighbors held onto their hats and scarves. Maya's heart pounded so fast she could hear it louder than the helicopter. Her mother rushed out onto the porch. "Maya, what is happening?" I don't know, Mom," Maya said, shaking her head. With a deep mechanical roar, the helicopter slowly lowered itself into their small front yard. The ground trembled as its wheels touched the earth. People gathered at the edge of the street, whispering and pointing. The loud engine slowly quieted, but the air still buzzed with excitement. Maya stood completely still. Her breath felt stuck in her throat. Her hands trembled without her realizing. Why was a helicopter landing at her house? Who was inside it? What did they want? The helicopter door suddenly opened. Out stepped a tall security officer in a clean black suit. His expression was calm and serious. Behind him came a second officer. They surveyed the area as if checking for safety. The neighbors gasped. "What is happening? Who are these people? Is this real?" But Maya barely heard anything around her. Her eyes were locked on the helicopter door, where another figure was stepping out. It was a woman. A woman with soft eyes, warm features, and a familiar face. Maya's breath caught. Her heart skipped a beat. It was Lena Hart, the billionaire's wife. The same woman she had helped. The same woman whose face she had seen on the news. Lena stepped out gracefully, her coat flowing behind her in the wind. She looked around the crowd for a moment. Then her eyes settled on Maya. She smiled an honest, warm smile that reached her eyes. "Maya," she called gently. Maya froze, unable to move. Her legs felt like stone. Her mother looked at her in shock. "Maya? She knows your name." Before Maya could respond, Lena walked across the yard with her guards beside her. She stopped in front of Maya, her smile kind and full of gratitude. "Maya," Lena said softly, "I've been looking for you." Maya blinked. "F for me," she whispered. "Yes," Lena said. "You helped me when I needed someone. You stayed with me when no one else was around, and I never forgot it." The guard stepped back respectfully, giving the two women space. Lena gently took Maya's hands in hers. "I've come to thank you," she said, "and to fix what you lost because of me." Maya felt her heart stop for a moment. fix what she lost. But before she could ask anything, Lena continued, I know about your missed exam, and I know what it cost you. I'm here because kindness deserves recognition, not punishment. Maya felt a tremble run through her entire body. The neighbors stared in stunned silence. Before Maya could even respond, Lena added with a smile that carried warmth and power, I didn't come here empty-handed. Something big was coming. Something life-changing. Something beyond anything Maya had ever imagined. For a long moment, Maya could not speak. She stood in front of Lena Hart, the billionaire's wife, completely frozen. She had expected many things in her life, failure, success, struggle, hope, but she had never, not even in her dreams, imagined a helicopter landing in her small yard with a powerful woman calling her name. The neighbors stood quietly behind the fence, whispering to each other. Some held their phones up, recording the unbelievable moment. Maya's mother stood beside her, still in shock, clutching her apron as if it were the only thing keeping her steady. Lena looked at Maya gently, her eyes soft but filled with something strong respect. Maya, Lena began, I wanted to come earlier, but my health needed a little time. When I woke up the next day, I asked my team about the young woman who helped me. They told me you left quickly, without waiting for anything. Maya lowered her eyes, shy. You were not feeling well. I didn't want to disturb you. Lena smiled. And that is exactly why I came. Because you were thinking about me, not yourself. She stepped a little closer. When a person helps without expecting anything back, it stays in the heart forever. Maya felt her throat tighten. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Lena continued softly after I recovered. I asked my assistants about the small neighborhood girl who stayed with me when I was weak. I wanted to know everything, and that is when I learned what you sacrificed. Maya's breath hitched. Her mother looked at her, surprised. Lena nodded, confirming it. Yes, Lena said. I know about your exam. I know you missed it because of me. And I know what it meant to you. Maya's eyes filled with tears. I didn't want anything from you. I just wanted you to be safe. Lena smiled warmly. And that is why I'm here, to give you something anyway. She motioned to one of her guards, who handed her a small folder. Maya swallowed nervously as Lena opened it. Inside was a letter with the official seal of Maya's college. Lena read it aloud, gently so that Maya could hear every word. This is to confirm that student Maya Thompson is granted permission to retake her missed exam due to an approved special circumstance. Maya gasped. What? But the professor said it was impossible. Lena smiled. For him, maybe. But I spoke to the college board myself. I explained everything. And they agreed that your reason was fair. Maya's mother covered her mouth with both hands, tears forming in her eyes. But Lena wasn't finished. She placed the folder aside and looked directly into Maya's eyes with sincerity. Maya, your kindness touched me deeply. You helped me without hesitation. And I want to help you continue your education without fear. She reached inside her coat and pulled out another envelope. This one thicker. I spoke to my husband, Lena said softly. We both agreed on something important. She handed the envelope to Maya. With trembling hands, Maya opened it. Inside was a scholarship certificate signed by the Hart Foundation. The certificate read, Full educational support awarded to Maya Thompson for the rest of her college years. Maya's knees weakened. Her breath trembled. She stared at the certificate, unable to speak. Her mother rushed forward and held her shoulders gently. Lena continued, This means your tuition, your books, your fees, everything will be taken care of. You never have to worry again about losing your education. Maya's tears fell silently. Not from sadness this time, but from overwhelming relief and gratitude. She looked up at Lena, her voice shaking. Why? Why would you do this for me? Lena gently touched Maya's arm. Because when someone shows true kindness, The world must show kindness back. You didn't know who I was, yet you stayed with me when no one else did. People like you deserve every chance to shine. The neighbors murmured with amazement. Some smiled. Some wiped their eyes. Others watched quietly, moved by the moment. Maya tried to speak, but her voice broke. Lena stepped forward and embraced her gently, like a mother holding a child. "You changed my day," Lena whispered. "Now let me change your life." After a moment, Lena stepped back. She looked around Maya's home and smiled warmly. "You have a wonderful family. I'm honored I got to meet you again properly this time." Maya's mother stepped forward, her voice broken but sincere. "Thank you. Thank you so much. We could never repay you." Lena shook her head. "No repayment is needed. Just promise me one thing." Maya wiped her eyes. "Anything. Promise me." "That you will never stop being the kind person you were that morning." Maya nodded, her voice soft but steady. "Promise." Lena smiled brightly. "Good." She turned toward the helicopter. Her guards followed closely. When she reached the door, she turned back one last time. "Maya, the world needs more hearts like yours." With that, she stepped into the helicopter. The blades started turning slowly, then faster, kicking up dust and wind again. Maya stood with her mother, holding the scholarship letter close to her chest, her heart beating with new hope. As the helicopter lifted into the sky and flew away, Maya whispered to herself, "This is the beginning, not the end." She didn't know it, but her life had just taken its first step into a future brighter than anything she had ever dreamed. As the helicopter disappeared into the distance, Maya stood silently in her yard, feeling the wind settle around her. The noise faded, the dust dropped, and the neighborhood slowly returned to its peaceful quiet. But inside Maya's heart, nothing was quiet. Everything was alive, full of emotion, full of surprise, full of hope she thought she had lost forever. She held the scholarship papers close to her chest, almost afraid they would disappear if she let go. Her mother wrapped an arm around her shoulders, both of them unable to speak for a long time. Words felt too small for what they were feeling. Neighbors slowly left, still whispering about what they had witnessed. Some waved at Maya with warm smiles. Some wiped their eyes. Some still looked stunned. The little kids who had watched the helicopter landing ran around pretending to be pilots. But Maya barely noticed any of it. She was still trying to understand what had happened. How a simple act, a small moment of kindness, had changed her life completely. Her mother broke the silence first. "Maya," she said gently, "this is a blessing, a real one. Your kindness brought this to you." Maya nodded, wiping her tears. I can't believe it, Mom. I thought my future was gone." Her mother smiled. "Oh, no future is gone when the heart stays good." Inside the house, Maya kept reading the letter again and again, just to make sure she wasn't dreaming. Full scholarship, full support, guaranteed exam retake. It's all approved by the college board. Every page felt unreal. She finally placed it on the table and took a deep breath. Her shoulders relaxed for the first time in days. A warmth spread in her chest, one she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. True, strong hope. She sat down and whispered, "I can finish college. I can actually finish." For the next hour, Maya and her mother talked excitedly about the future, what classes she would take, how she would prepare for the retake exam, and the long list of dreams that Maya had pushed aside after her failure. Now, all of those dreams returned, brighter than before. Maya planned her study schedule, organized her notes, and even smiled while highlighting chapters. Her room felt lighter, as if sunlight had entered every corner. The missed exam was no longer a closed door. It was now a door freshly opened. Later that evening, Maya stepped outside again. The air was cool, and the sky had turned a soft pink. She walked slowly to the same bench she used to sit on near the college, the same place where she had once written, "What now?" In her notebook, she took her notebook out and opened it. The empty page stared back at her. The 2 words she wrote earlier now felt different, lighter, almost hopeful. This time, she wrote beneath it, "Now I rise." She closed the notebook and looked up at the sky. The colors were shifting gently orange, pink, violet, like the world was painting a new beginning just for her. As she sat there, she thought about Lena Hart. She remembered the weakness in Lena's voice the day she called for help. She remembered sitting on the floor next to her, helping her breathe and drink water. She remembered leaving quietly, without expecting anything in return. And she remembered Lena's words, "Promise me you will never stop being kind." Maya nodded to herself slowly. "I won't," she whispered to the sky. Because she finally understood something powerful. A single act of kindness can travel further than a person can imagine. It can cross streets, cross cities, cross worlds. It can return as hope, opportunity, blessings, and new beginnings. Her one moment of kindness had been seen. It had been appreciated. It had come back to her with life-changing force. The next week, Maya arrived at her college to retake her exam. Students stared as she walked in with confidence. She sat in her seat, closed her eyes, and breathed deeply. She no longer carried fear. She carried gratitude. She completed her exam with calm focus. Every question felt like a step toward her new future. And when she submitted her paper, she whispered a small thank you under her breath. Thank you to the woman she helped. Thank you to her mother. Thank you to the universe for seeing her heart. Months passed. Maya excelled in her studies. She joined new programs, attended seminars, and even volunteered at charity events, something Lena inspired her to do. Each time she helped someone, she remembered how kindness had lifted her own life. One afternoon, Maya received a message. From Lena, it said, "I'm proud of you. Keep going. The world is bigger because of hearts like yours." Maya smiled from ear to ear. She kept the message close to her heart, as a reminder that kindness never ends with one person. It travels, grows, and lights new paths. Years later, Maya stood on a stage receiving her graduation certificate. Her mother cried with joy in the audience. Maya thanked her professors, her friends, and the Heart Foundation for believing in her. But most of all, she thanked the younger version of herself, the girl who chose kindness over fear. Because that choice had changed everything. And as Maya looked out at the cheering crowd, she whispered, "One act of kindness, and my whole life found its wings."